Okay, hello, welcome. This is episode 17 of the Alumni Success Series. What is your name and your education, and what is your profession now?
So my name is Cassian Soltykevych or Cassian Soltykevych. Uh, my education was I got a Bachelor of Commerce from the University of Alberta, Alberta School of Business, and I also finished a leadership certificate program at the Alberta School of Business. And my profession now is, I guess, a business owner and managing director of several businesses.
Nice, lovely. So what is your relation to SUSK?
So when I was in my first year, after my first year of university, I was on the SUSK executive as media director for 2 years, then stepped into a vice president role, and then 2 years as SUSK president as well. And actually attended my first SUSK Congress when I was 16 in Edmonton as a volunteer photographer, videographer, when my brother and his cohort of peers organized Congress at the University of Alberta then.
Nice. What do you do for the Ukrainian community now?
So now I'm a volunteer in many capacities. My biggest role is as National Secretary of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress on a national level. I've been on the board for a long time, and I've been on the executive for about 7 years now. And so that's kind of on a national level as well, locally since 2022 at the UCC here in Ottawa, helping lead and manage the Maidan Market, which is a storefront and a hub for newcomers arriving to Ottawa and the area here. And I'm also still a little bit involved with SUSK as the chair of the oversight committee for the endowment fund. So during my tenure as SUSK president, also launched the endowment fund and made that a reality after many years of discussions with alumni and several executives. But that was something else I'm still a little bit involved with SUSK.
Yes. Okay. What is a core memory of your experiences with SUSK?
Oh, many besides lots of opportunities. I think a big one was being able to travel with Prime Minister Trudeau to Ukraine just at the end of my time with SUSK as part of that delegation. An opportunity to meet so many students in so many different USOs across the country. SUSK Congress was always a highlight of something to look forward to at the end of the school year and before the summer season. So that was always a highlight, and just seeing the Thursday night always of SUSK Congress having the USO updates of what everyone did that year, both the similarities amongst clubs across the country and also the unique things that each club did across their country. I know that Musa and McMaster was always doing a volleyball tournament, and very few, if no other clubs were ever doing that. Pierogi barbecues were pretty popular across the country, but more popular, I'd say, in the prairie. So things like that were unique to basically see what other organizations and other clubs were doing was always a fun thing, and just making lifelong friends as well. That was always a key part.
Love that. Do you have any core lessons that SUSK taught you how to become a professional or implementing them?
Lots. It was the foundation it was the application of everything I was learning in school. So being a commerce grad, you're learning about all these theories and ideas and case studies of, what a business does, how a business operates. All these kinds of things is cool to talk about in a classroom, but being able to, during my time was the first SUSK national coordinator was hired, Connor Moman. And this was the first opportunity as, I'm in my early 20s and you're managing someone, you're managing an employee. Luckily, we have the great support of the UCC national staff as well, who was helping along. So you're not totally on your own, but that was a huge thing to try to learn and to try to manage. It's a very different thing to go from a completely volunteer board to having staff support of someone who's paid in the office doing things for you. Like, that's their job and they're paid to do that. So it's a very, very different feeling and something unique you have to learn about. Lots of different personalities, of course, is a very important thing. That was you're unless I don't know, unless you have a very, very simple job where you're just working on your own, like if you're a self-employed, like electrician maybe, or something where but even then you're still talking to clients. So it's having to work with a lot of different personalities, especially also different languages. So, we have USOs in Quebec who speak Ukrainian and French, maybe a little bit of English, but you also have USOs and members of USOs who speak very little Ukrainian, but are very proud Ukrainians, and they're no different than anyone else in terms of how Ukrainian they are. So all those kinds of factors and all those just translate directly into the workforce. So you're working with I work with a wide variety of people in a different industries, different personalities, different levels of English, different levels of French, different levels of Ukrainian, frankly, and being able to effectively communicate with them, having a good rapport with them, is vital to to running a business. But it's all those things that you don't realize. You think in the heat of things and in the moment that, oh, it's just a student club, but you don't realize all those things that will translate into your business life. And when you're applying for your first job of, if you're let's say VP finance of your USO or of SUSK or something like that, and you're applying to your first job, and they'll ask you if you ever managed a budget or if you ever managed anything like that, and you can say, yeah, I have. Actually, I manage responsibilities for a staff person. We, fundraise tens of thousands of dollars a year. We spend tens of thousands of dollars a year. And that's very rare for a 21, 22, 23-year-old to be applying for their first job or a summer internship and being able to say that they're a part of that. It's a very, very, very rare thing. It's a unique opportunity that sometimes employers will look at you and go, why do you have this kind of knowledge? And why do you know how to run a meeting? And why do you, it's hilarious how many times you can talk to Ukrainians who are in the workforce and they just know how to run a meeting like that. They know how to pass motions. They know how to take meeting minutes. It's just second nature to it. It's just something you grow up with because you're involved with this. And then you start realizing how poor managers and directors or other, senior leadership at companies or in organizations are so poor at it, even though they might be twice your age, but they don't know how to run a meeting as effectively as you do because you've done it so many times with student groups.
Completely agree. It is very influential in actually learning the structure behind those meetings and how to properly organize them from start to end and be efficient at it, for sure.
Absolutely.
Would you say that SUSK taught you any life lessons?
Oh, lots. Um, a lot, it's how to deal with stress, how to I think I stressed the employee bit and how many, just kind of managing. You're essentially managing a business in some sense. Of course, it's a nonprofit, but you're still managing different personalities, different teams, kind of that thing. But the life lessons pieces is, yeah, how to work under stress at SUS Congress, working with, I remember with Connor, we were having a SUS Congress in Ottawa. I can't remember the exact year, probably 2016, 17, something like that. And we, the first night, the social night on the first night, we were supposed to have a campus pub that was available to us for socializing, and like a couple hours beforehand, the campus bar canceled on us. So we had like a couple of hours of notice, and we had John Valinga from Zivkova Vodka coming to do a vodka tasting as well. So we had everything lined up. It was complicated because we had someone coming in to do a sampling. Then we also had liquor, which complicates things. And so we're scrambling. We're in the Byward Market in Ottawa, and me and Connor in this. We sit down. We list the 15 hotels who could possibly host us that evening, or any other venues, and we just started calling. And the Fairmont was out of budget and didn't want to agree to a bunch of 20-year-olds who were going to do a vodka tasting. But luckily there was a hotel, and a very nice hotel, who agreed to it. We ended up having to spend some money on food and beverage, so it ended up actually being a very swanky evening that we didn't anticipate. It cost a little bit more and hit our budget a little bit, but luckily we had some reserves for it. But everyone, I think, had a very positive outcome or look at SUSK, going, oh wow, this is the first night of SUSK Congress. Very, very nice vodka tasting. There's appetizers. There's white wine, bottomless wine, essentially, because we had to spend the money, and it was very. But it was that kind of moment of, you're dealing with the stress of, and how do you, it's a perfect example of now I work with in lots of stressful moments, not on a daily basis, but easily every week there's a moment where you're going, something is, this is very tough. How do we figure it out? And it's being able to react to that and going, no, everything will be okay, but just plot out your plan, figure out what you have to do, what's really the most important priority, and working through difficult situations, because there's no easy road through life and through a career without, at least you're not going to advance very far, or, get very far if you don't have any stressful moments. It'd also be a very dull life. So I think those stressful moments were the key things. You're also planning a SUS Congress and you're finishing your exams. You have you're writing your exam, but at the same time you're thinking about, oh, did I order that thing for Congress? And did I do that? And you're like a week away. So this, that kind of overlap. It's a little bit easier now with the national coordinator, but yeah, it's hard to imagine that you're doing like, oh, I have a Monday to Friday, I have an exam every single day, and then in a week and a half from now, I have to organize a conference for 50 students across the country flying in. It's those moments that you realize how quickly you can learn and adapt, and things that you'll keep with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Currently in that position as well, less than a month away from Congress and in the midst of finished two exams, two more to go, just kind of trying to balance that all out right now. So totally
Absolutely.
resonate with that. Um, what sort of morals or memories resonate? I know we've already discussed quite a few, but do you have any key moments aside from like the whole jumbled ex Ottawa, what's it called, experience?
Lots. I planned a lot of SUS congresses. Morals. Um, that's a good question. You know what? I think you never know where you're going to see people that you were involved with in your future years. So, you know, you're in your early, late teens, early 20s, and you're lots of emotions and things like that, and try not to make that too big of a part of your experience, and try to, obviously there are people who are difficult to work with. That's natural, and that's going to happen in your career as well. But try to keep a good rapport with everyone you can, because you never know where people are going to end up after graduation, and you never know what kind of a bridge might help you out in the future. So it's I'm not, I'm only many years now from SUS, but not that many years. But it's still remarkable, today, of like, who do I think of? Who do I have a question to someone about in the community or professionally? The people I rely on, so many of them are either direct SUSK alumni, or had a role in a USO, or they were volunteers in kind of that kind of a capacity. So you definitely don't want to, don't burn those bridges. You don't realize about how important that network is of people you have there, and how it's a shared memory that you'll have of your student life. I think it's very similar. I was not in a fraternity, but I would equate it to that, in terms of you were in a very special mixed fraternity sorority kind of a thing, where you're kind of, call it frat bros and frat sister, or fraternity sisters, sorority sisters, for the rest of your life. Kind of, you shared a common experience that very few others will. So I think that's something really important to keep in mind and think about. And the other part, sorry, morals was the first one. What was the other part?
Any memories too, but morals, yeah.
Yeah, lots of memories. It's people. It's how we always had this joke at SUS, not always, but at a couple of SUS congresses, we had this joke about hashtag Meet My Zimka, about like that. This is your opportunity, that you're gonna meet people that you might spend the rest of your time with, spend the rest of your life with. And for me, that is exactly what happened. I'm now married to someone I was involved with SUSK with, who was a SUS president before me. Um, and it's a very, very unique thing. But there's lots of marriages and relationships that came out of SUS congresses, of people that met one another through USOs. Like, that's a huge part of it. And the friendships. I travel to Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Montreal, Toronto, and any city I go, Saskatoon, Regina, any city I go to, I know that probably most likely the people I'm going to be going to hang out with are either people I went to business school with, and who I was involved in clubs with specifically. So very similar to Ukrainian clubs. Those people I know kind of the best, and had the best relationship with, and became such a deep friendships with them, or with other people who I was involved somehow in SUSK, or somehow else in the Ukrainian community with them. So you don't. It's when you're 20 years old, you go to the pub on a Thursday at the end of the day for classes, and there's 50 people, and you think your life is going to be like that forever, where you're just gonna, it's going to be like the episode of Cheers, and Cheers is even way before my time, but essentially you're going to be going, and you're going to see, we're like Friends, you're going to go to the Central Perk, and your friends are just going to be there every day, and it's going to be like that. And you don't realize how quickly these everyone goes their own separate ways. Someone's going to move to Europe, someone's going to move to Australia, someone's going to move to the States. People are going to move across the country. I moved across the country, and you see people less and less and less. And work takes over, life takes over. So you start realizing who people you really want to hang out with, and This is the start of many lifelong friendships to come, that you maybe don't realize.
Totally. I completely see that. Okay, and then what's one piece of advice you would give your 20-year-old self?
I think it may be cliche, but get involved. Like, take every opportunity of, uh, whether it's a job opportunity, a volunteering opportunity. Um, I think there's a good, from a business standpoint, there's always a good phrase of someone, I don't know who said it, but basically learn in your 20s and earn in your 30s. And I think
Okay.
it's a very, like you are a sponge for knowledge now in your 20s. Like, the amount of information you can amass and the experiences you can have in your 20s, don't focus so much on career progression in terms of a salary sense or in terms of a dollar sense. Obviously you have to live and survive, this is important, but you will naturally, you'll be much better off you'll be setting yourself up for success by spending your 20s learning as much as you possibly can and having as many experiences as you possibly can that will then help you further along in life. Like, when I graduated, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. Maybe I still don't, but you get a sense of um, what's out there by talking to people and not saying, no, that's not really what I want to do. If you though have a, like, I want to be a, I don't know, a hematological oncologist, then cool. Then you know exactly what you want to go to. Then do that. That's great. But for a lot of people, they're trying to figure out what they want to do. They're not 100% sure in what industry they want to work in, maybe what kind of a job they want to have. So just start saying yes and maybe in a general direction, kind of working towards something. So, but being able to accept, well, yeah, I will go to that conference, and you know what, it might cost me a couple bucks, but I'll meet some cool people that you never know where you'll end up getting a job. I can, for me personally, for my line of work, it's a huge part of my business would not exist without the Ukrainian community. And yes, we have Ukrainian community, nonprofit clients, which is separate, but really not. That's not really the piece I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who you meet, who then introduce you to so much more industries, more companies, more opportunities. You never know who knows someone, and it's remarkable. Luckily, you can now kind of see these things. The Kevin Bacon 6 degrees of separation. You can now kind of see it on LinkedIn in terms of you search someone you kind of want to meet, and you might have a mutual connection. And oftentimes, for me, it's someone in our community, in our broader Ukrainian Canadian community. So, and that's and it's a very, very rare time where I reach out to someone who I write to them and go, can you please introduce me to this person? I want to, do X, Y, and Z. And 99 times out of 100, they'll say, absolutely, I'd be thrilled to. And they're happy to connect you because they know you. They understand that you've, volunteered in the community in some capacity, in a student group or in SUSK, whatever it is, and they're willing to help you. So those, I think, just don't shut any doors, because just for maybe, don't worry about the $2,000 or $5,000 salary increase or $10,000 salary increase right now. Like, that will all come, and you'll be so much better prepared when you come closer to your 30s and into your 30s, into your 40s, about being able to, like, the money will come if you focus on letting yourself having lots of experiences and lots of opportunities and networking and meeting new people and going to conferences and just kind of saying yes to a lot of things, or at least being open to a discussion about something, not shutting it down right away. Not everything will be a great fit. There's been things that I've turned down, absolutely, but at least having a conversation of going, okay, this might sound of interest, so let's explore it a little bit further before saying no right away.
Right. Yeah, I love that saying. That's my new favorite phrase. Learn in your 20s, earn in your 30s. That's great.
It'll all come, yeah. Don't, like, the 5 grand today could easily be, like, talking monetary sense. It can be a huge payoff later down the line because you don't know about what you're missing, and you don't know what's out there. I had no clue. I work in a lot of healthcare spheres now, and a lot of different nonprofits. I've worked in agriculture industries. I've worked in oil and gas and resource extraction. Like, these are fields that I knew a little bit about, but not extensively. And now there's many of these industries and facets of life that I'm now in on a daily basis, that had I said no to many opportunities, I wouldn't have the knowledge I have today. I wouldn't have the skills and the expertise that I've gained in the last, 5, 10 years, by at least being curious about things, not necessarily always saying 100% yes, like, because at some point you have to sleep too and eat, but at least being open to a conversation and seeing where things go, I think, is really key.
For sure. Do you have any advice for maybe the board members right now or others in school kind of approaching Congress, final thoughts to the year.
Uh, at this point, if we're coming up to the end of the term, we'll keep. If you're still in school, then take a bigger role. If take a bigger role in SUSK. If you're in a smaller role right now, take a leap and take on something bigger. This is and maybe it's not specifically to SUSK, but more broadly, I try to recommend as much as I can to do your undergrad in an extra year or an extra 2 years, maybe max, but don't be afraid to do a 4 year undergrad in 5 years. Whether that's do a co-op, I know lots of people do co-ops. I did not do a co-op, but I know many who do and find it very, very valuable. I think that's a similar kind of idea. So whether you do a kind of a formal co-op or you just take one or two fewer classes a semester, go travel, go take on a bigger role at a student organization, whether it's SUSK or whether it's your local USO, or even whether it's local, if it's an engineering club, a business club, a art history club, a music club, whatever it is, whatever you're studying. But don't be afraid. That's kind of again like that learn in your 20s, earn in your 30s thing of don't be afraid of like, oh no, I'm going to miss out a year of pay. It's your first year. It's not a big deal. You'll probably have, for me, the opportunities to travel of a very, very bad example was, well, don't do this, but in my last semester in the fall of my 5th year, I came to school 3 weeks after the semester had started and got one of my highest GPAs in that term. It's a
Okay.
terrible way to approach school, but somehow it worked out for me. But the opportunities I had, I spent the summer traveling. I was across Europe. I was in Southeast Asia. I capped it off with the Bloor West Toronto Ukrainian Festival and met so many friends and so many of those people who are, lifelong friends today. So there's whatever it is, I think just don't be afraid to. I know there's some restrictions on programs and stuff, especially, like sometimes like engineering, you have like a set amount of courses you have to do every semester to stay along in your cohort. But as best as you can, just wouldn't be afraid to either do a co-op or something else, or just extend your studies an extra year or an extra year and a half, or even an extra half year, even an extra, if you can defer a bunch of classes and just take an extra fall semester, not a bad thing at all. Also, a bonus thing, many companies, of course, hire, for the April graduation timeline. But if you graduate in January, like if you finish school in December, there's also very little competition from January to April because no one really is graduating. So you're in a very unique point of graduation that you might have some job opportunities that um, most students wouldn't be. You'd be applying, people would be applying in that time frame, but you would actually be available to start. So don't always do what everyone else does. Don't feel that you have to do everything in 4 years. Get it done, and don't be afraid to take on a bigger role, and make school take a little bit less. Learn a little, well, not learn less in school, but rather take fewer courses in a semester to lighten your load so that you can do more other things.
Yes, I completely agree with that. That's all for the questions that I have on my end. Do you have any closing remarks you'd like to share?
Sure, I think that being involved in SUSK is a both a privilege and a huge responsibility. This is a big step in terms of you're the representative body of many, many Ukrainian student organizations across Canada. It's a very unique thing. There's only one ethnocultural group who has something similar to us, which is the Jewish community. This is and you have something that you can share with that you'll learn from for the rest of your life. Like the things that you're learning now when you're 18 to 23 and in SUSK and in your USOs is something that these lessons will stay with you for life, experiences you'll have for life. I drive around Saskatoon, Banff, Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal, and I drive back and I drive through these cities or walk through and I see the city landmarks that I remember walking by at Congress, and brings back a lot of good memories. Sometimes maybe if it's a Friday night after a pub night, maybe a little bit more blurry memories, but mostly all fantastic memories. And thinking back to, wow, I was so thankful that I got involved in that capacity and that I was able to then how much it helped me in present day and keeping building on those skills. You keep on, you build your repository of skills and experiences that will help you in interviews and help you if you want to start your own business, if you want to do, and even in non-career things in life too, whether that's community volunteering. There's, whether it's community volunteering, like I said, or just in your personal life and, understanding how to manage different personalities, different friendships, highs and lows in life of, uh, there's many of us have had, difficult SUS congresses of, or other times in your USOs of, oh man, we're running out of money. Like we can't afford to pay the band or the venue or whatever we had. How do you deal with that? It's overcoming those things that building that resilience that you'll have for the rest of your life. So any sort of those things that you can get more involved in, don't be afraid to try new things. This is the place to do it. Don't fret too much about getting starting your career immediately. It will all come, and arguably, I know there's no scientific evidence to back this up, but let's say arguably an extra year of volunteering and more experience as a student will probably be better on a resume than just 4 years of no volunteering or very little volunteering and graduating in 4 years instead of 5, but having a lot more experience of out there in the real world.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you so much for joining today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.